How to Think, Speak, and Influence Like a Pro, written and published by Echo Tales. Introduction. Every result in your life begins with one invisible habit: the way you think. Before you speak, you think. Before you act, you think. Before you influence anyone else, you influence yourself. Most people never learn this skill on purpose. They speak without clarity. They react instead of choosing their words. They hope to be understood but rarely are. This book exists to change that. If you can think clearly, you can speak clearly. If you can speak clearly, you can influence outcomes. And when you can influence outcomes, your life changes. This audiobook is not about tricks. It is not about sounding impressive. It is about becoming effective. You will learn how professionals think under pressure. You will learn how they speak with confidence and calm. You will learn how they influence without forcing or manipulating. Influence is not loud. It is precise. It is intentional. And it is learned. The purpose of this book is simple: to help you align your thoughts, your words, and your presence. When these three work together, people listen. They trust you. They respond. You do not need to be the smartest person in the room. You need to be the clearest. Throughout this book you will discover how to slow your thinking, how to choose your words carefully, and how to communicate with purpose. You will learn how to remove mental clutter, how to speak without rambling, and how to guide conversations naturally. Each chapter builds on the last. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is complicated. This is designed for real life, for meetings, for conversations, for decisions that matter. You will learn how to control your inner voice, because the way you speak to yourself shapes how you speak to others. You will learn how to sound confident without pretending, calm without being passive, and firm without being aggressive. This book is especially written for listening. The ideas are clear. The sentences are direct. The flow is intentional. You can listen while walking, while driving, or while reflecting quietly. Each concept is meant to settle in your mind, not rush past it. As you listen, you may notice something shift. Your awareness will sharpen. Your patience will grow. Your communication will improve. Influence is not a single moment. It is a daily practice. The way you respond instead of react. The way you choose words instead of filling silence. The way you guide instead of push. By the end of this audiobook you will not just know more. You will notice more. You will notice how people speak, how they think, and how their results reflect both. Most importantly, you will notice yourself. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming intentional. So listen closely, move through each chapter with patience, and apply what you hear. Because when you learn how to think clearly, speak with purpose, and influence with integrity, you do not just communicate better. You lead better. You decide better. And you live better. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The power of thought comes first. Every meaningful change begins in one quiet place. It begins in the mind. Before a word is spoken, a thought has already formed. Before a decision is made, an idea has already been accepted. Before influence reaches another person, it has already shaped you. Most people focus on outcomes. They focus on results, reactions, and rewards. But professionals focus on something earlier. They focus on thought. Thought is the starting line. It is the unseen force that directs behavior. When thought is clear, action becomes simple. When thought is confused, effort becomes wasted. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. One reacts quickly and emotionally. The other pauses and thinks. They choose different words. They choose a different tone. They create different results. The difference is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not confidence. It is the quality of their thinking. Thought shapes perception. Perception shapes meaning. Meaning shapes response. This chain runs silently in the background of every conversation and every decision. When you understand this chain, you gain control over it. Consider a simple moment. You receive unexpected criticism. One thought says, "This is an attack." Another thought says, "This is information." The situation is the same. The outcome is not. In the first case, your body tightens. Your voice changes. Your words become defensive. In the second case, your posture stays calm. Your tone stays steady. Your response earns respect. The power did not come from the words. It came from the thought that arrived first. Thought is a filter. It decides what you notice. It decides what you ignore. It decides how you interpret events. Most people allow this filter to run on autopilot. They inherit beats. They repeat internal phrases. They accept assumptions without question. Over time, these unexamined thoughts become habits. Habits become identity. And identity becomes destiny. Professionals do not leave this process to chance. They train their thinking the same way others train skills. They ask better questions. They slow down reactions. They separate facts from feelings. This is not about overthinking. There is a difference. Overthinking creates fear and delay. Deliberate thinking creates clarity and direction. One scatters energy. The other focuses it. Think of a pilot before takeoff. They do not rush the checklist. They do not guess. They prepare. Your thoughts are your checklist. When thinking is careless, mistakes multiply. When thinking is disciplined, progress accelerates. This discipline begins with awareness. You must notice your thoughts before you can guide them. You must hear the inner voice before you can refine it. Pay attention to the language you use with yourself. Notice phrases like "I always fail" or "this never works." These are not facts. They are habits of thought, and habits can be changed. Replace vague thoughts with specific ones. Replace emotional reactions with intentional responses. Replace assumptions with questions. Ask, what is actually happening here? Ask, what is the best response right now? Ask, what result do I want to create? These questions shift power back to you. A clear thinker becomes a steady speaker. A steady speaker becomes a trusted presence. People respond to clarity. They feel safe around it. They follow it. This is why thought always comes first. You cannot speak with purpose if your thinking is scattered. You cannot influence others if you are reacting internally. You cannot lead conversations if you are not leading your mind. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Each time you pause before reacting, you strengthen control. Each time you choose clarity over impulse, you build confidence. Each time you guide your thoughts, you shape your future. This chapter is not asking you to change everything at once. It is asking you to start noticing. Notice what you think before you speak. Notice what you assume before you respond. Notice how your inner dialogue shapes your outer behavior. This awareness is the foundation of influence. As you move forward in this book, remember this principle: words do not lead, thoughts do. When you master the way you think, your speech gains precision, your presence gains strength, and your influence becomes natural. The power of thought comes first. Everything else follows. Chapter 2. How successful people think differently. Successful people are not separated by talent alone. They are separated by patterns of thought. They do not wake up with special abilities. They wake up with a different mental approach. The way they interpret events, the way they respond to pressure, the way they frame problems. This difference in thinking shapes everything that follows. Most people react first and think later. Successful people reverse this order. They think first, then they act. When something goes wrong, many people ask, why did this happen to me? Successful people ask a better question. They ask, what can I do with this? This shift may seem small. It is not. One question produces frustration. The other produces movement. Successful thinkers focus on control, not comfort. They understand one clear truth. Life does not respond to wishes. It responds to responsibility. Instead of blaming conditions, they study them. Instead of complaining about limits, they look for leverage. Instead of waiting for motivation, they rely on structure. They do not deny reality. They work with it. This mindset shows up clearly under pressure. When stress appears, most people tighten. Their thinking narrows. Their words become rushed. Successful people slow down. They widen their perspective. They look for the signal inside the noise. They know that panic is expensive. Calm is powerful. Think of a business leader facing a sudden setback. Revenue drops. A deal fails. Tension fills the room. One leader reacts emotionally. They raise their voice. They assign blame. Another leader pauses. They ask questions. They focus the team. The difference is not authority. It is thinking discipline. Successful people train themselves to separate facts from emotion. Facts are neutral. Emotion adds meaning. When emotion leads, clarity disappears. When facts lead, options appear. This is why successful people often sound calm when others feel overwhelmed. They are not ignoring the problem. They are managing their response to it. Another key difference is time perspective. Most people think in days. Some think in weeks. Successful people often think in years. They understand that short-term discomfort can produce long-term freedom. They delay reactions. They delay gratification. They delay unnecessary drama. This does not make them passive. It makes them strategic. They ask, what does this decision lead to? Not just today, but tomorrow. Their thinking includes consequences. This approach shapes how they speak. Because they think long-term, they speak carefully. They choose words that build trust instead of winning arguments. They aim for progress, not applause. They also understand the value of simplicity. Successful people do not clutter their thinking with noise. They reduce problems to their core. They avoid unnecessary complexity. Complex thinking feels intelligent. Clear thinking produces results. This is why successful people often explain difficult ideas in simple ways. They understand the subject deeply, so they do not hide behind jargon. Another difference is how they view failure. Most people see failure as a verdict. Successful people see it as feedback. Feedback can be used. A verdict feels final. When something does not work, they review it. They adjust. They move forward. They do not attach their identity to a single outcome. They attach their identity to growth. This creates resilience. Resilience is not toughness. It is flexibility. A flexible thinker adapts. A rigid thinker breaks. Successful people also protect their mental environment. They are careful about what they consume. They limit negative input. They choose conversations that sharpen rather than drain them. This is not avoidance. It is selection. They know that repeated thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs shape behavior. Behavior shapes results. So they guard the source. Most importantly, successful people think deliberately. They do not let the day decide how they think. They decide before the day begins. They review goals. They set priorities. They prepare mentally for challenges. This preparation creates stability. When the unexpected happens, they are not shaken easily. They have already trained their response. You do not need to copy someone else's personality to think this way. You only need to adopt their principles. Pause before reacting. Question your assumptions. Focus on what you can control. Think beyond the moment. These habits are learnable. They are repeatable. They are powerful. As you continue through this book, remember this. Your results are not just shaped by what you do. They are shaped by how you think. Change the thinking pattern, and behavior follows. This is how successful people think differently, and it is how you begin thinking like a professional. Chapter 3. Controlling the inner voice. There is a voice that speaks to you more than anyone else ever will. It speaks before you respond. It speaks before you decide. And it speaks before you act. This is your inner voice. It narrates your life in real time. It explains what things mean. It labels experiences as good or bad. And most of the time, it does this without permission. Many people believe confidence comes from outside, from praise, from success, from approval. In reality, confidence begins much earlier. It begins with how you speak to yourself. The inner voice is not loud. It is constant. If left unchecked, it becomes automatic. Automatic thoughts become habits. Habits shape identity. This is why controlling the inner voice is not optional. It is essential. Imagine walking into an important conversation. Your inner voice says, "Do not mess this up." Your body tightens. Your breathing shortens. Your words lose flow. Now imagine a different voice. It says, "Stay calm. Listen first." Your shoulders relax. Your tone steadies. Your presence improves. The situation did not change. The inner voice did. This voice does not predict reality. It interprets it. And interpretation can be trained. Many inner voices are built from repetition. Past failures, critical comments, old labels. Over time these become familiar. Familiar feels true, but familiar is not always accurate. A common mistake is believing every thought deserves attention. It does not. A thought is just a suggestion, not a command. Professionals understand this distinction. They do not fight their thoughts. They question them. When a negative thought appears, they pause. They ask, "Is this useful?" They ask, "Is this accurate?" They ask, "Does this help me respond well?" This pause creates space, and space creates choice. Without that pause, the inner voice drives behavior. With it you take the wheel. Think of the inner voice as a coach. A good coach gives clear guidance. A bad coach shouts and criticizes. Most people live with a bad coach in their head. It focuses on mistakes. It exaggerates risks. It predicts failure. You would never hire such a coach. Yet many people listen to one daily. Controlling the inner voice does not mean making it positive all the time. It means making it useful. Useful thoughts are calm. They are specific. They are action-oriented. Instead of "I cannot handle this," a useful thought says, "Take this one step at a time." Instead of "They will judge me," a useful thought says, "Focus on the message." Notice the difference. One creates tension. The other creates direction. This shift matters, because the inner voice shapes your outer voice. If your internal language is rushed, your speech will sound rushed. If your internal language is calm, your speech will carry weight. People hear your thinking through your tone. This is why controlling the inner voice is also about influence. Others may not hear your thoughts, but they feel the effect of them. Another important skill is naming the voice. When a thought says, "You always fail," label it. Say, "That is an old pattern." Naming creates distance. Distance creates control. You are not the voice. You are the listener. This perspective changes everything. Once you realize the voice is separate from you, you gain authority over it. You can interrupt it. You can redirect it. You can replace it. Replacement works better than resistance. Do not try to silence the inner voice. Guide it. Give it better instructions. Before a conversation, say, listen carefully. Before a challenge, say, stay steady. Before a decision, say, think long term. These simple commands set direction. Over time, repetition rewires response. The inner voice becomes calmer, clearer, more supportive. This does not happen overnight. It happens through consistency. Each time you choose a useful thought, you strengthen control. Each time you slow the voice down, you build presence. Presence is felt immediately by others. A person with a steady inner voice speaks without force. They listen without impatience. They respond without defensiveness. This is professional communication. As you move forward, practice awareness. Notice the tone of your inner voice. Notice when it rushes or criticizes. Then guide it back. Say less internally. Say it clearly. Say it with purpose. When you control the inner voice, you control the first conversation of every interaction. And when that conversation improves, every conversation that follows improves as well. The inner voice sets the tone. Make sure it works for you, not against you. Chapter 4. Thinking in outcomes, not opinions. Most conversations fail before they begin, not because of words, but because of focus. Many people enter discussions trying to prove something. They defend opinions. They protect ego. They argue to win. Professionals think differently. They think in outcomes. An opinion is a position. An outcome is a direction. Positions create resistance. Direction creates movement. When you focus on opinions, the goal becomes being right. When you focus on outcomes, the goal becomes progress. This difference changes everything. Imagine a team meeting where two people disagree. One pushes their view harder. They speak louder. They repeat their point. The other person asks a simple question. What result are we trying to achieve? The room shifts. Energy moves away from conflict and toward clarity. The discussion becomes productive. This is the power of outcome-based thinking. Opinions are personal. Outcomes are shared. When people feel their identity is under attack, they defend. When people feel aligned toward a goal, they cooperate. Successful people understand this instinctively. They ask outcome-focused questions. They frame ideas around results. They guide conversations toward resolution. This does not mean ignoring viewpoints. It means placing them in service of a purpose. Think of a negotiation. Two sides enter with strong opinions. Price, terming. If both sides defend opinions, the conversation stalls. If one side shifts to outcomes, options appear. What would success look like for both of us? What problem are we really solving? These questions reduce tension. They invite collaboration. Outcome thinking also improves decision-making. Opinions are often emotional. They are shaped by preference, pride, or habit. Outcomes are measurable. They can be evaluated. When facing a decision, ask, what does this choice produce? Not how it feels. Not how it looks, but what it leads to. This question creates objectivity. It helps you step outside the moment and see the path ahead. Consider a difficult conversation you have been avoiding. Your opinion says, this will be uncomfortable. Your outcome says, clarity will reduce stress later. When outcome leads, courage increases. This mindset also sharpens speech. When you speak from opinion, your words sound defensive. When you speak from outcome, your words sound grounded. People can hear the difference. Outcome-based speakers sound calm. They are less attached to being agreed with. They are more committed to progress. This makes them persuasive. Another advantage of outcome thinking is focus. Opinions multiply. Everyone has one. Outcomes narrow attention. They cut through noise. They reduce unnecessary debate. In high-stakes environments, this skill is critical. Think of a leader during a crisis. There is no time for endless opinions. There is a need for direction. Clear outcomes create momentum. This approach also helps you manage your own reactions. When emotions rise, opinions get louder. Outcome thinking brings you back to center. Ask yourself, what is the best result I can create right now? This question grounds you. It shifts the mind from reaction to intention. Over time, this habit changes how people experience you. You become someone who moves conversations forward. Someone who resolves instead of escalates. Someone who thinks beyond the moment. This builds trust. People trust those who focus on solutions. They respect those who rise above personal preference. Outcome thinking does not eliminate disagreement. It elevates it. Different views become inputs, not obstacles. As you practice this skill, start small. In daily conversations, notice when you defend an opinion. Pause. Refocus. Ask a question that points toward a result. What are we trying to accomplish? What would move this forward? These phrases are simple. They are powerful. They change the tone of interaction immediately. Thinking in outcomes is not about giving up your voice. It is about using it wisely. When your thinking is aligned with results, your speech becomes clear, your influence becomes steady, and your impact increases. Opinions come and go. Outcomes remain. Learn to think in outcomes and you will communicate like a professional. Chapter 5. Speaking with clarity and purpose. Clarity is the foundation of powerful speech. Without it, words drift. With it, words land. Many people speak often but say very little. They fill space. They repeat ideas. They hope the message will eventually be understood. Professionals take a different approach. They speak with purpose. Purpose gives direction to language. Clarity gives it strength. Before speaking, clear speakers ask one question: what do I want this message to achieve? This question shapes everything that follows. When purpose is missing, speech becomes unfocused. When purpose is clear, speech becomes precise. Think about a simple instruction. One person explains it in long detail. Another explains it in 3 clear steps. The second person is not smarter. They are clearer. Clarity respects the listener. It removes confusion. It saves time. It builds trust. Purpose also controls tone. When you know your goal, your voice steadies. You do not rush. You do not over-explain. Your words align with intention. Many communication problems begin with unclear thinking. When thoughts are scattered, speech reflects it. This is why clarity in speaking begins with clarity in thought. Take a moment before you speak. Organize the message mentally. Decide what matters most. Then speak only what serves that purpose. This habit changes how people experience you. They feel guided, not overwhelmed. They feel informed, not pressured. Another key element of clarity is simplicity. Complex language does not impress. It distances. Clear speakers choose familiar words. They explain ideas in plain terms. They avoid unnecessary detail. This does not weaken the message. It strengthens it. If an idea cannot be explained simply, it is not yet understood. Purpose-driven speech also avoids filler. Words like maybe, kind of, and sort of dilute meaning. They create uncertainty. Replace them with confident phrasing. State what you mean. Pause when needed. Silence is not weakness. It is emphasis. A brief pause allows the message to settle. It gives weight to your words. Storytelling also supports clarity. A short example can explain more than a long explanation. Imagine explaining teamwork. You could define it. Or you could tell a brief story of people solving a problem together. Stories create images. Images create understanding. Purposeful speakers use stories to support the message, not distract from it. They choose examples that serve the point. Clarity also depends on structure. A clear beginning sets context. A focused middle delivers the message. A clean ending reinforces the takeaway. This structure keeps listeners engaged. Without structure, even good ideas get lost. Another important factor is listening. Clarity is not only about speaking, it is about responding. When you listen carefully, you adjust your message. You clarify when needed. You simplify when confusion appears. This makes communication feel natural. People feel heard. And when people feel heard, they listen. Speaking with clarity and purpose also builds credibility. When your words are aligned and intentional, others trust you. They know you value their time. They know you mean what you say. This trust increases influence. You do not need to speak more. You need to speak better. Start practicing in everyday moments. Before a conversation, decide your purpose. During the conversation, stay focused. Afterward, reflect on what worked. These small habits create noticeable change. Over time, your speech becomes calm, direct, effective. People begin to lean in when you speak. They understand you the first time. Clarity and purpose turn language into a tool for connection, a tool for leadership, a tool for influence. When you speak with clarity and purpose, your message carries weight, your presence feels professional, and your words make an impact. Chapter 6. Saying less, saying it better. Most people believe strong communication means talking more. They believe more words create more clarity. Often, the opposite is true. Professionals understand a simple rule. The right words matter more than many words. Saying less is not about being quiet. It is about being precise. When people speak too much, messages blur. Important points get buried. Listeners lose focus. Clear communicators do the opposite. They reduce, they refine, they deliver. Think of a meeting where someone explains an idea for 10 minutes. The message wanders. Details stack up. Energy fades. Then someone else speaks for 30 seconds. They state the point. They give one example. They stop. That person is remembered. This skill begins with restraint. Restraint means trusting the message. It means believing that clarity does not need decoration. Before speaking, ask yourself one question. What is the core point? Not the background, not the explanation. The point. Once you know it, everything else becomes optional. Professionals also understand the power of editing in real time. They remove filler as they speak. They avoid repeating the same idea in different words. They stop when the message is complete. This takes awareness. Many people talk past their point because silence feels uncomfortable. They keep going to fill space. Silence is not the enemy. Noise is. A brief pause signals confidence. It shows you are not desperate to be heard. Listeners respond to this. Another reason people overtalk is fear of being misunderstood. They add detail to protect themselves. Ironically, this creates more confusion. Clarity comes from structure, not volume. State the idea, support it once, move on. This structure keeps attention. Short sentences also improve impact. They land cleanly. They are easy to remember. They sound confident. Long sentences can work on paper. In speech, they lose power, especially in an audiobook. Simplicity matters. Saying less also improves influence. When words are limited, listeners pay closer attention. They lean in. They fill gaps with thought. This creates engagement. Think of a strong leader speaking to a team. They do not lecture. They deliver clear direction. Here is the goal. Here is the next step. Here is why it matters. Nothing extra. This approach respects time, and respect builds authority. Another important habit is removing unnecessary qualifiers. Words like just, actually, and I think weaken statements. They reduce certainty. Instead of saying, I just wanted to suggest, say, I suggest. The message becomes stronger, instantly. This does not make you aggressive. It makes you clear. Saying less also means choosing moments carefully. You do not need to respond to everything. You do not need to fill every silence. Respond when you add value. Speak when it moves the conversation forward. This selectiveness increases impact. People notice when someone speaks with intention. Over time, this changes how others listen to you. They trust your words. They assume relevance. This is influence built quietly. Practice this skill daily. In conversations, notice when you repeat yourself. Stop. Notice when you add unnecessary detail. Pause. Notice when the point has landed. End. These small adjustments compound. Your speech becomes tighter. Your message becomes clearer. Your presence becomes stronger. Saying less does not limit you. It sharpens you. When every word has a job, communication becomes efficient, confidence becomes visible, and influence becomes effortless. Say less. Say it better. Chapter 7. The Psychology of Persuasive Speech. Persuasion is not about pressure. It is about understanding. People do not resist ideas. They resist feeling pushed. When persuasion fails, it is rarely because the message was weak. It fails because the listener felt misunderstood or rushed. Professional communicators know this. They speak to the mind and the emotions together. Persuasive speech begins with one principle. People decide emotionally, then justify logically. This does not mean logic is unimportant. It means logic must arrive at the right time. If you start with facts before connection, attention fades. If you start with connection, facts are welcomed. Think of a moment when someone tried to convince you of something. If they ignored your concerns, you pulled away. If they acknowledged them, you listened. This response is human nature. The first psychological need in persuasion is safety. People need to feel respected. They need to feel heard. They need to feel free to choose. When speech threatens these needs, resistance rises. This is why persuasive speakers avoid forceful language. They do not say, "You must." They say, "Consider this." They invite rather than demand. Tone matters as much as content. A calm tone lowers defenses. A rushed tone raises them. Your voice communicates intention before words are processed. This is especially important in spoken communication. The second psychological principle is relevance. People listen when they hear themselves in the message. Persuasive speakers connect ideas to the listener's world, their goals, their challenges, their values. They ask questions. They listen carefully. They adjust their language. This makes the message feel personal. A message that feels personal feels meaningful. Storytelling supports this process. A short story allows the listener to step inside an idea. They imagine, they relate, they feel facts inform. Stories persuade. This is why effective speakers often use simple examples, not to entertain, but to create understanding. The third principle is clarity. Confusion kills persuasion. If the listener has to work to understand you, they disengage. Persuasive speech is structured. It has a clear point. It moves in one direction. It avoids unnecessary detail. Each sentence serves the message. When clarity is present, trust increases. Trust is the foundation of influence. Without trust, even good ideas are rejected. Another important psychological factor is consistency. People want to act in ways that align with their identity. Persuasive speakers help listeners see alignment. They frame ideas as natural extensions of existing values. Instead of saying change who you are, they say, this fits who you already are. This reduces inner conflict. Small agreements also matter. When someone agrees with you once, they are more open to agreeing again. Persuasive communicators build step by step. They begin with common ground. They confirm shared understanding. Then they move forward. This process feels cooperative, not confrontational. Language choice plays a key role here. Words like we together and our goal create unity. Words like you should create distance. Subtle shifts produce powerful effects. Another psychological element is timing. Even the best message fails if delivered at the wrong moment. Persuasive speakers read the room. They notice energy. They notice emotion. They wait when needed. Silence can be strategic. Pausing allows ideas to settle. It gives the listener space to reflect. Persuasion is not rushed. It is guided. Fear-based persuasion may work short-term, but it damages trust long-term. Professional influence is built on respect and clarity. When people feel empowered, they act willingly. This creates lasting results. It is also important to remember that persuasion is not manipulation. Manipulation hides intention. Persuasion reveals it. Manipulation benefits one side. Persuasion seeks mutual benefit. Listeners sense the difference. Authenticity matters. When your words match your values, your message carries weight. People respond to sincerity. As you practice persuasive speech, focus on mindset first. Ask yourself, what does the listener need to feel? What do they need to understand? What outcome serves both sides? These questions guide your language naturally. You do not need clever phrases. You need clarity and care. Persuasive speech is a skill built through awareness. Awareness of people. Awareness of tone. Awareness of timing. When psychology and communication work together, your words feel natural, your presence feels steady, and your influence feels earned. Persuasion is not about control. It is about connection, and connection is the most powerful language of all. Chapter 8. Asking questions that influence. Influence does not always come from answers. Often it comes from questions. Most people try to guide conversations by explaining more. They offer opinions. They give advice. Professionals often do the opposite. They ask better questions. A good question opens space. It invites thought. It shifts perspective. When you ask the right question, you guide direction without force. Questions lower resistance. When someone hears a statement, they may argue internally. When they hear a question, they reflect. Reflection creates engagement. This is why questions are such powerful tools of influence. Not all questions are equal. Some questions trap. Some accuse. Some close conversations. Influential questions do the opposite. They open, they clarify, they move people forward. Consider the difference. A statement says, "This approach will not work." A question says, "What challenge might this approach create?" The second invites participation. The first invites defense. Influential people avoid questions that sound like judgments. They avoid questions that already contain answers. They ask with curiosity, not control. Tone matters. A calm tone makes a question safe. A sharp tone makes it feel like an attack. In spoken communication, tone often matters more than wording. Another important principle is intention. Every effective question has a purpose. It may aim to understand. It may aim to clarify. It may aim to guide thinking. Before asking, know why you are asking. Random questions create confusion. Intentional questions create focus. There are 3 types of influential questions. The first type is clarifying questions. These remove assumptions. They prevent misunderstanding. What do you mean by that? Can you walk me through your thinking? These questions show respect. They signal that you value understanding over winning. The second type is reflective questions. These help people hear their own thinking. How does that align with your goal? What impact do you think this will have? Reflective questions encourage self-awareness. When people reach conclusions themselves, commitment increases. The third type is directional questions. These gently point toward an outcome. What would success look like here? What is the next useful step? These questions guide without pushing. They create momentum. Influential questioners also know when to stay quiet. After asking a strong question, pause. Silence gives the mind room to work. Many people rush to fill the gap. This weakens the question. Let it breathe. Another important skill is listening fully. A question only influences if the answer is heard. Do not plan the next question while someone is speaking. Stay present. Respond to what is said, not what you expected to hear. This builds trust. People open up when they feel understood. Questions also help manage conflict. When tension rises, statements escalate. Questions de-escalate. Instead of saying, "You are wrong," ask, "What led you to that conclusion?" This shifts the tone immediately. Questions can also reveal hidden concerns. Sometimes resistance is not about the topic. It is about fear or uncertainty. A simple question like, "What worries you most about this?" can uncover the real issue. Once the real issue is visible, solutions appear. Influential people also avoid asking too many questions. Too many questions feel like interrogation. Choose the few that matter. One thoughtful question is more powerful than 5 shallow ones. Practice this skill intentionally. In your next conversation, resist the urge to explain. Ask one clear question instead. Notice the change in response. You will see people relax. You will see engagement increase. Questions shift ownership. When someone answers a question, they invest in the conversation. They become part of the solution. This is influence at its best. Asking questions that influence is not about control. It is about guidance. It respects intelligence. It encourages clarity. It creates connection. When you master this skill, you lead conversations naturally. You reduce resistance, and you influence without force. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is not a statement at all. It is a well-chosen question. Chapter 9. Body language that supports your words. Long before people process your words, they read your body, posture, movement, stillness. These signals speak first. Body language does not replace speech. It supports it. When words and body align, messages feel trustworthy. When they do not, confusion appears. Many communication problems are not verbal, they are physical. A confident message, delivered with closed posture, feels uncertain. A calm message delivered with restless movement feels anxious. People may not explain this reaction. They feel it. Professional communicators understand this. They manage their body with intention. The goal is not to perform. It is to align. Start with posture. Posture signals state of mind. A straight but relaxed posture communicates readiness. Slouched posture signals withdrawal. Rigid posture signals tension. You do not need perfection. You need awareness. Before speaking, settle your body. Feel your feet on the ground. Relax your shoulders. This physical reset steadies your voice. Next, consider movement. Unnecessary movement distracts. Constant shifting, fidgeting, or pacing breaks focus. Purposeful movement supports emphasis. Move when it serves the message. Stay still when the message matters. Stillness is powerful. A pause combined with stillness draws attention. Gestures also matter. Open gestures invite trust. Closed gestures create distance. Hands visible. Arms relaxed. This posture feels natural and calm. Avoid overusing gestures. Too many gestures compete with words. Too few can feel rigid. Aim for balance. Eye contact is another key signal. It communicates presence. You do not need to stare. You need to connect. Brief, steady eye contact shows confidence. Constant avoidance suggests uncertainty. Fixed staring creates discomfort. Think of eye contact as conversation, not control. Your facial expression also supports your message. A neutral, calm expression creates safety. Exaggerated expressions distract. Match expression to message. If the message is serious, soften the face. If the message is encouraging, allow warmth. People trust consistency. Breathing is often overlooked. Shallow breathing speeds speech. Deep breathing slows it. Before speaking, take one slow breath. This resets your nervous system. Calm breath leads to calm voice. Body language also reflects listening. Nod when appropriate. Face the speaker. Stay open. These signals encourage others to speak freely. Influence grows when people feel seen. Another important point is awareness of space. Standing too close can feel intrusive. Standing too far can feel distant. Adjust based on context. In virtual settings, body language still matters. Sit upright. Face the camera. Reduce background movement. Even through a screen, posture and presence are felt. Body language also affects you. Your body influences your mind. When you adopt a calm posture, your thoughts slow. When you breathe steadily, anxiety reduces. This creates a positive loop. The body supports the message. The message supports the body. Practice this intentionally. Before a conversation, check posture. During the conversation, notice movement. Afterward, reflect. Small adjustments create large improvements. Body language does not need to be dramatic. It needs to be consistent. When your words and body speak the same message, people feel clarity. They feel trust. They feel confidence. This alignment strengthens influence. You do not need perfect technique. You need presence. When your body supports your words, your communication feels complete. Your message feels believable. And your influence feels natural. The body speaks. Make sure it supports what you say. Chapter 10. Listening as a power skill. Most people believe influence comes from speaking well. Few realize how much power lives in listening. Listening is not passive. It is active control. When you listen well, you gather information, you read emotion, you understand direction, and understanding creates influence. Many conversations fail because people are not listening. They are waiting to speak. They are rehearsing replies. They are protecting their position. Professional listeners do something different. They give full attention. Attention is rare. And what is rare feels valuable. When someone feels fully heard, resistance drops, trust increases, openness follows. This is why listening is a power skill. Listening begins with presence. Presence means your body is there, and your mind is there too. Eyes focused, posture open, phone away. These signals say, you matter right now. People respond to this immediately. Good listeners also manage their inner dialogue. While someone speaks, the inner voice wants to interrupt. It wants to judge. It wants to respond early. Control that urge. Let the speaker finish. Often the most important part comes at the end. Listening without interruption creates safety. Safety encourages honesty. Honesty reveals what actually matters. This gives you influence without force. Another key element is curiosity. Curiosity changes how listening feels. Instead of waiting for mistakes, you look for meaning. Instead of defending, you explore. Ask yourself, what are they really saying? What matters most to them right now? This mindset shifts tone. People can sense genuine interest. They open up when they feel it. Active listening also includes reflection. Reflection means briefly restating what you heard. So what you are saying is this matters because of timing. Let me make sure I understand your concern. These simple reflections confirm understanding. They reduce misunderstanding. They slow the conversation in a helpful way. Listening also reveals emotion. Words carry facts. Tone carries feeling. A calm sentence can hide frustration. A short reply can signal hesitation. Professional listeners hear both. They notice pauses. They notice changes in energy. They respond to emotion, not just content. This makes their responses land better. Another advantage of listening is leverage. When you understand someone's priorities, you can frame ideas effectively. You speak in their language. You connect ideas to what they care about. This makes persuasion easier, not because you manipulate, but because you align. Listening also improves leadership. People follow those who understand them. They resist those who talk past them. A leader who listens earns commitment, not compliance. Even in disagreement, listening matters. When conflict appears, listening de-escalates. Instead of reacting, ask questions. Instead of defending, understand. What concerns you most? What outcome are you hoping for? These questions shift the dynamic. They move the conversation from tension to clarity. Listening also gives you time. While others rush to speak, you gather context. You think calmly. You choose words carefully. This patience creates authority. Silence becomes a tool. A brief pause after someone speaks shows thoughtfulness. It shows you are considering, not reacting. People respect this. Listening is also how you learn faster. Every conversation contains information about people, about systems, about outcomes. Those who listen gain insight without effort. Those who talk too much miss signals. Another important point is listening to understand, not to agree. Understanding does not mean approval. It means clarity. You can disagree clearly only after you understand fully. This order matters. Without understanding, disagreement feels dismissive. With understanding, it feels respectful. This respect preserves relationships. Listening also improves your speaking. The better you listen, the more precise your words become. You avoid unnecessary explanation. You address what actually matters. Your responses feel tailored, not generic. This increases impact. Practice listening deliberately. In your next conversation, do less talking. Maintain eye contact. Reflect what you hear. Notice how the energy changes. People will speak more freely. They will share more information. They will trust you more. This is influence built quietly. Listening is not weakness. It is strength under control. It allows you to guide without pushing, to lead without dominating, to influence without force. When you master listening, you gain insight before speaking. You gain trust before persuading, and you gain power before using words. Listening is not the absence of communication. It is the foundation of it. Treat it as a skill. Practice it daily, and watch how your influence grows without effort. Chapter 11. Handling objections calmly. Objections are not the problem. Reactions are. Most people hear an objection and feel challenged. Their body tightens. Their voice changes. They rush to defend. Professionals respond differently. They stay calm. Calm is not passive. It is controlled strength. When you handle objections calmly, you keep influence. When you react emotionally, you give it away. The first step is understanding what an objection really is. An objection is information. It reveals concern. It reveals hesitation. It reveals what matters to the other person. If someone objects, they are still engaged. Silence is more dangerous than resistance. When an objection appears, slow down. Pause before speaking. Let the moment settle. This pause does two things, and it signals confidence. Rushed responses sound defensive. Measured responses sound thoughtful. Next, acknowledge the objection. Acknowledgement is not agreement. It is recognition. Phrases like, "I see why that concerns you," or "that makes sense given the situation." People relax when they feel understood. Avoid the urge to interrupt. Let the objection fully surface. Often what is first said is not the real issue. There may be fear underneath, or uncertainty, or past experience. Listening reveals this. Once you understand the concern, clarify. Ask a simple question. Can you tell me more about that? What part concerns you most? These questions show curiosity, not control. They turn a challenge into a conversation. Now respond with purpose. Do not overload with explanation. Do not counter with opinions. Address the concern directly. Connect your response to an outcome. For example, instead of saying "that will not be a problem," say, "Here is how this protects the result you want." Outcome-focused responses feel relevant. Another important principle is tone. Keep your voice steady, lower than usual, controlled. A calm tone de-escalates emotion. People mirror energy. If you stay calm, others follow. Avoid absolute language. Words like always and never increase resistance. They close doors. Use flexible language based on what we know. In this case, flexibility invites discussion. Handling objections also requires confidence in silence. After responding, pause. Do not rush to fill the space. Let the other person think. Silence often does more than extra explanation. Another common mistake is taking objections personally. Most objections are about the idea, not you. Detach identity from the message. This keeps emotion out of the response. Professional communicators separate self-worth from outcomes. They stay centered. It is also important to choose battles wisely. Not every objection needs a full response. Some are comments. Some are passing thoughts. Respond to what matters. Let the rest pass. This selectiveness shows judgment. Over time, this skill builds trust. People notice when you remain calm under pressure. They feel safe expressing concerns. This safety leads to honesty. Honesty leads to progress. Practice handling objections in low-stakes situations. When someone disagrees, resist the urge to explain immediately. Acknowledge. Ask. Respond briefly. Notice the shift. The conversation becomes collaborative. Handling objections calmly does not weaken your position. It strengthens it. It shows control. It shows confidence. It shows professionalism. When you stay calm, you stay clear. When you stay clear, you stay influential. Objections will always exist. Your response determines their impact. Calm responses turn resistance into understanding. Understanding turns hesitation into movement. This is how professionals handle objections. Chapter 12. Speaking with confidence under stress. Stress does not remove skill. It reveals it. When pressure rises, habits surface. Your breathing changes. Your voice tightens. Your thoughts speed up. This is where confidence is tested. Many people believe confident speakers stay calm because they feel calm. The truth is different. They feel calm because they know what to do under stress. Confidence under stress is not a personality trait. It is a trained response. Stress appears in many forms. Important meetings, difficult conversations, unexpected questions, high-stakes decisions. In these moments, the body reacts before the mind catches up. Heart rate increases. Breath becomes shallow. Muscles tense. If unmanaged, this physical reaction takes control of speech. Words rush. Sentences trail off. Tone loses authority. Professionals interrupt this process early. They start with the body. The fastest way to regain control is through breathing. Before speaking, take one slow breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. This small action sends a signal to the nervous system. Slow down. A slower body supports a steadier voice. Next comes posture. Stress pulls posture inward. Shoulders rise. Chest collapses. Gently straighten. Relax the shoulders. Ground your feet. This physical adjustment creates stability. Your voice follows your body. Now shift focus. Under stress, attention turns inward. You worry about how you sound. You worry about mistakes. This inward focus increases pressure. Confident speakers shift focus outward. They focus on the message. They focus on the listener. They focus on the outcome. This reduces self-consciousness. When you speak to serve a purpose, pressure decreases. Another key skill is slowing speech intentionally. Stress speeds speech. Speed reduces clarity. Slow your pace slightly, not dramatically, just enough to regain rhythm. Short sentences help. They are easier to deliver. They are easier to hear. If you lose your place, pause. Pausing is not failure. It is control. A pause allows you to reset. It signals thoughtfulness. Listeners rarely notice pauses as mistakes. They notice rushing immediately. Confidence also comes from preparation. You cannot control every situation, but you can control readiness. Before stressful events, prepare key points, not scripts, anchors. Know the main message. Know the outcome you want. Know one supporting example. This structure holds you steady when stress appears. Another important factor is self-talk. Under pressure, the inner voice often turns critical. It says, "Do not mess this up." It says, "Everyone is watching." These thoughts increase tension. Replace them with useful cues. Slow down. Stay clear. Focus on the point. These phrases guide behavior. They do not fight stress. They manage it. Stress also distorts perception. It makes situations feel bigger than they are. Remind yourself of context. This is a conversation, not a trial. This moment will pass. Perspective reduces intensity. Confidence under stress also means accepting imperfection. Trying to be flawless increases pressure. Trying to be clear reduces it. You do not need perfect words. You need honest ones. If you make a mistake, acknowledge it calmly. Correct and continue. This response builds credibility. People trust those who recover smoothly. Another helpful skill is controlling entry. How you begin sets the tone. Under stress, people often rush the opening. They start speaking before grounding themselves. Instead, pause first. Look up. Breathe. Then begin. This small delay establishes authority. Your tone at the start shapes the rest of the interaction. Confidence also comes from familiarity with stress. Avoiding pressure weakens confidence. Facing it builds resilience. Each time you speak under stress and manage it, your nervous system learns. This is survivable. This is manageable. Over time, stress loses its grip. You begin to trust yourself. This trust is visible. Your voice steadies faster. Your recovery improves. Your presence strengthens. People sense this. They feel reassured by calm responses. They follow steady energy. Stress does not disappear at higher levels. Responsibility increases it. Professionals do not eliminate stress. They master response. They treat stress as a signal, not a threat. A signal to slow down. A signal to focus. A signal to simplify. As you practice, remember this. Confidence under stress is built before the moment. It is reinforced during the moment. And it grows after the moment. Reflect after stressful conversations. What worked? What helped you stay calm? What can improve next time? This reflection sharpens skill. Speaking with confidence under stress is not about control over situations. It is about control over response. When pressure rises, return to basics. Breathe, posture, focus, clarity. These anchors hold you steady. Stress will test you. Let it also train you. Because the ability to speak calmly when it matters most is one of the clearest signs of professional influence. Chapter 13. Influencing without manipulating. Influence and manipulation are often confused. They are not the same. Manipulation hides intention. Influence reveals it. Manipulation seeks control. Influence seeks alignment. People may comply with manipulation, but they rarely trust it, and trust is the foundation of lasting influence. Professional communicators understand this difference deeply. They do not try to push people. They guide them. Influencing without manipulating begins with respect. Respect means recognizing the other person's ability to choose. It means allowing space for disagreement. It means valuing long-term relationships over short-term wins. When people feel respected, they stay open. When they feel used, they shut down. This response is instinctive. Manipulation often relies on pressure, urgency, fear, guilt. These tools can create quick results, but they create damage beneath the surface. Influence works differently. It is calm. It is transparent. It is patient. It focuses on shared benefit. A simple way to tell the difference is this. Manipulation asks, how do I get what I want? Influence asks, how do we move forward together? That question shapes behavior. Ethical influence begins with clarity of intention. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this outcome fair to both sides? Would I be comfortable if this approach were used on me? These questions act as a compass. If the answer feels uneasy, adjust. Influence does not require clever tricks. It requires honesty. Honest communication builds credibility. Credibility builds trust. Trust makes persuasion natural. Another key element is timing. Manipulators rush decisions. They limit information. They push for immediate answers. Influencers give space. They allow time to think. They invite questions. They encourage reflection. This patience signals confidence. People trust those who are not desperate for agreement. Language choice also matters. Manipulative language sounds forceful. You have to. This is your only option. Influential language sounds open. Here is what I see. These are the options. Choice creates ownership. When people feel ownership, commitment increases. Influence also depends on listening. Manipulators talk over concerns. Influencers listen for them. When someone raises a concern, influence grows by addressing it honestly, not by dismissing it, not by reframing it unfairly. Acknowledge the concern, clarify it, respond with care. This process builds safety. Safety encourages openness. Another difference lies in intent over time. Manipulation often ignores consequences. Influence considers them. Short-term wins that damage trust are not wins. They are delays. Professional influence protects reputation. Reputation is built slowly and lost quickly. People remember how you made them feel. They remember if you respected their autonomy. Influence also requires self-control. The urge to persuade harder appears when resistance shows up. This is the moment to slow down. Pressure signals insecurity. Calm signals strength. When you feel the urge to push, pause instead. Ask a question. Invite perspective. Return to outcomes. Influencers are comfortable with disagreement. They do not need immediate agreement to feel validated. They know that clarity takes time. They focus on planting ideas, not forcing decisions. Another important principle is alignment with values. People are persuaded when ideas align with who they believe they are. Manipulation tries to override values. Influence works with them. This requires understanding. Ask yourself, what matters to this person? What do they care about most? Frame ideas around those values. Honestly. Do not exaggerate. Do not promise what you cannot deliver. Integrity is persuasive. Influencing without manipulating also means accepting no. A no is not failure. It is information. It may mean timing is wrong. It may mean priorities differ. Respecting a no preserves trust. Sometimes influence shows up later, not immediately. People reflect after conversations. They reconsider ideas that felt respectful. Manipulation burns bridges. Influence leaves doors open. This is especially important in leadership and professional settings. Teams follow leaders they trust. Clients return to those who respect them. Partners collaborate with those who act fairly. Influence that lasts is built on consistency. Say what you mean what you say. Follow through. These behaviors speak louder than persuasion techniques. As you practice influence, check your mindset. Are you trying to win, or are you trying to build? Winning ends conversations. Building extends them. Influence without manipulation feels lighter. Conversations feel cooperative. Decisions feel shared. This does not mean giving up direction. It means guiding with integrity. When people feel respected, informed and free to choose, they listen more closely. They engage more deeply. They commit more fully. That is real influence. Not control, not pressure, but trust. Influencing without manipulating is not slower. It is stronger. It creates clarity without coercion, movement without force, results without regret. And in the long run, It is the only kind of influence worth having. Chapter 14. Building authority through consistency. Authority is rarely announced. It is recognized. People do not grant authority because of titles or volume. They grant it because of patterns. What you do repeatedly shapes how you are perceived. What you say once is noticed. What you say and do consistently is trusted. This is the quiet foundation of authority. Many people try to appear authoritative by sounding certain. They speak confidently. They use strong language. They push opinions. But authority built this way is fragile. True authority comes from reliability. When people know what to expect from you, they relax. When they relax, they listen. When they listen, influence follows. Consistency creates this effect. Consistency is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about doing the right things repeatedly, showing up prepared, responding calmly, following through on promises. These behaviors accumulate. Over time, they form a reputation. Reputation is the long memory of consistency. Think about someone you respect professionally. Chances are, they are predictable in the best way. They handle pressure steadily. They communicate clearly. They act in alignment with their values. You trust them not because they impress you but because they do not surprise you. This predictability is powerful. Inconsistency creates doubt. When words change daily, trust erodes. When behavior shifts with mood, confidence drops. People begin to question motives. They hesitate to commit. Authority cannot grow in uncertainty. Consistency also applies to thinking. If your thinking changes with every opinion you hear, your speech loses weight. Consistent thinkers have a clear framework. They may adapt details, but their principles stay steady. This steadiness shows up in conversation. They do not overreact. They do not contradict themselves unnecessarily. They explain decisions with the same logic over time. This creates confidence in others. Consistency in language matters too. Using clear, familiar phrases builds recognition. Repeating key messages reinforces understanding. This is not repetition for noise. It is reinforcement for clarity. Leaders often repeat core ideas, vision, values, priorities. They do this because repetition creates alignment. People trust messages they hear consistently. Another important aspect is emotional consistency. Emotional swings weaken authority. If people never know which version of you they will encounter, they stay guarded. Consistency does not mean suppressing emotion. It means managing it. Responding calmly to good news and bad. Staying respectful under pressure. Maintaining tone even during disagreement. This emotional steadiness creates safety. Safety invites honesty. Honesty improves outcomes. Authority also grows through consistent boundaries. Clear boundaries communicate standards. What you accept repeatedly becomes your norm. If you allow interruptions, they increase. If you tolerate vague communication, clarity fades. Setting boundaries once is helpful. Maintaining them consistently is transformative. People adjust to what is enforced consistently. Another powerful area is consistency between words and actions. Nothing erodes authority faster than misalignment. If you speak about values but act against them, people notice. If you set expectations but ignore them, credibility weakens. Alignment builds trust silently. You do not need to remind people of your principles. They observe them. Consistency also applies to small things. Being on time, responding when you say you will, preparing for conversations. These details seem minor. They are not. Small consistencies compound into large perceptions. People often underestimate this. They look for dramatic moments to establish authority. In reality, authority is built in ordinary moments. Day after day, interaction after interaction. Consistency also protects you under pressure. When stress appears, habits take over. If your habits are solid, your authority holds. If your habits are weak, pressure exposes it. This is why consistency must be practiced before it is needed. Another important point is patience. Authority grows slowly. It does not rush. Trying to force authority creates resistance. Allowing it to develop creates respect. Focus on being reliable, not impressive. Impressive moments fade. Reliable behavior remains. Consistency does not mean rigidity. You can adapt while staying consistent. You can change strategies while honoring principles. You can grow while maintaining values. This flexibility within consistency builds maturity. People trust leaders who evolve thoughtfully, not those who change direction impulsively. To build authority through consistency, start with awareness. Notice where your behavior changes under pressure. Notice where your words shift with audience. Notice where follow-through breaks down. Choose one area to stabilize. Maybe it is tone. Maybe it is preparation. Maybe it is follow-up. Strengthen that pattern. Then move to the next. Over time, these adjustments reshape how others experience you. They begin to rely on your presence. They value your input. They seek your perspective, not because you demanded it, because you earned it. Authority built through consistency feels natural. It does not need defense. It does not need explanation. It is felt. People trust what they can count on. They follow what proves itself over time. If you want stronger influence, do not speak louder. Do not push harder. Be consistent. Let your actions match your words. Let your responses match your values. Let your presence match your intentions. Consistency turns behavior into identity. Identity becomes authority. And authority built this way is steady, respected and lasting. Chapter 15. Becoming the person people listen to. People do not listen because they are told to. They listen because something about you invites attention. This invitation is not created in a single moment. It is built over time. Becoming the person people listen to is not about status. It is about presence. It is about consistency. It is about trust. Many people try to command attention by speaking louder. They interrupt. They dominate. They repeat themselves. Professionals take a quieter path. They earn attention before they speak. Listening begins long before words are used. People listen to those who think clearly. They listen to those who speak with purpose. They listen to those who respect the conversation. This chapter brings everything together. To become someone people listen to, you must first listen to yourself. Your thinking sets the tone. If your thoughts are scattered, your message will be too. If your thoughts are calm and directed, your words will carry weight. Clear thinking creates confident delivery. Next comes intention. People can sense when speech has a purpose. They can also sense when it does not. When you speak to be heard, listeners resist. When you speak to contribute, listeners engage. Ask yourself before speaking, does this move the conversation forward? If the answer is unclear, wait. Restraint increases value. Another key element is credibility. Credibility is built through alignment. What you say should match what you do. What you promise should match what you deliver. When this alignment repeats, trust grows. Trust makes people lean in. Without trust, even brilliant ideas fall flat. Becoming the person people listen to also requires emotional control. People feel safe around calm energy. They relax when they sense stability. If your mood swings dictate your communication, others stay cautious. Steady emotional presence invites openness. This does not mean hiding emotion. It means managing it. Express what matters without letting emotion run the conversation. Another essential factor is respect. Respect is shown through attention, through patience, through acknowledgement. When people feel respected, they listen back. Interrupting breaks respect. Dismissing concerns breaks trust. Listening fully before responding shows confidence. It signals that you do not need to rush to prove yourself. People listen to those who are comfortable with silence. Silence suggests thought. Thought suggests depth. Depth attracts attention. Clarity is another defining trait. People avoid listening to confusion. They are drawn to simplicity. If your message is clear, it is easier to receive. If it is simple, it is easier to remember. Speak in short ideas. Use direct language. End when the point is made. This discipline builds authority. Another important habit is consistency of character. People listen to what they can predict. If your values shift with convenience, trust weakens. If your behavior stays aligned under pressure, trust strengthens. Consistency turns presence into reputation. Reputation speaks before you do. People also listen to those who understand timing. Not every thought needs immediate expression. Not every moment is the right moment. Wise communicators sense when to speak and when to wait. Timing can elevate an ordinary message into a powerful one. Speaking at the right moment shows awareness. Awareness is compelling. Another key trait is humility. People listen to those who do not need to appear superior. Arrogance closes ears. Curiosity opens them. Admitting uncertainty when appropriate builds credibility. Asking questions builds connection. The strongest voices are often the most open. Becoming the person people listen to also means accepting that not everyone will listen. Influence is not universal. It is contextual. Focus on being clear, honest and consistent. Let the rest go. Trying to win every year leads to over-explaining. Over-explaining weakens impact. Speak for those who are ready to listen. They are the ones who matter. This role is built daily, in small conversations, in quiet responses, in moments where no one is watching. Each interaction trains others how to experience you. Do you rush? Do you interrupt? Do you listen? These patterns answer the question before it is asked. Over time something shifts. People begin to pause when you speak. They ask for your thoughts. They remember your words. Not because you demanded attention, but because you earned it. This is professional influence. It is calm. It is steady. It is respected. Becoming the person people listen to is not about changing who you are. It is about refining how you show up. Think clearly. Speak with purpose. Listen deeply. Act consistently. These habits create presence. Presence creates trust. Trust creates influence. When you embody these qualities, you do not chase attention. Attention finds you. And when people listen, it is not because of your title, your volume or your urgency. It is because your words are worth hearing. That is the highest form of influence. And it is available to anyone willing to practice it daily. Conclusion. Influence is a daily practice. Influence is not a switch you turn on when needed. It is a habit you build every day. It shows up in how you think before you speak. It shows up in how you listen before you respond. It shows up in how you act when no one is watching. Throughout this book, one truth has remained constant. Influence is not accidental. It is intentional. You have seen how thoughts shape words, how words shape perception, and how perception shapes outcomes. This chain is always working, whether you guide it or ignore it. Influence does not come from dramatic moments alone. It grows in ordinary ones, in how you pause instead of react, in how you choose clarity over noise, in how you stay calm when pressure rises. These small choices compound. Many people wait for the right moment to change, to speak better, to think more clearly, to lead more effectively. Professionals understand something different. The moment is created through practice. You do not rise to the level of intention. You fall to the level of habit. That is why influence must be practiced daily. Every conversation trains your thinking. Every response reinforces your identity. Every decision strengthens or weakens your presence. This is not a burden. It is an opportunity. You do not need to master everything at once. You need to practice one improvement at a time. Think a little more clearly today. Speak a little more intentionally tomorrow. Listen a little more fully the next day. Progress follows attention. Remember this. Influence begins internally. If your inner world is chaotic, your outer communication will reflect it. Calm thinking creates calm speech. Calm speech creates trust. Trust creates influence. People do not follow perfection. They follow consistency. They listen to those who show up the same way in calm and chaos. Those who remain steady when emotions rise. Those who respect others while holding direction. Influence is not about control. It is about credibility. Credibility is built when words and actions align. When promises are kept. When standards are maintained. This alignment takes discipline. And discipline is a daily choice. Some days will feel easy. Others will test you. On difficult days, return to basics. Pause before responding. Breathe before speaking. Listen before deciding. These fundamentals never fail. Influence is also relational. It grows when people feel seen, when they feel respected, when they feel safe to speak. You do not need to impress people to influence them. You need to understand them. Understanding builds connection. Connection builds trust. Trust makes influence natural. As you move forward, resist the urge to perform. You are not here to sound impressive. You are here to be effective. Effectiveness is quiet. It does not seek applause. It seeks results. Sometimes influence works immediately. Other times it works later. A calm response today may shape a decision weeks from now. A respectful conversation may open a door you cannot see yet. Do not rush the outcome. Influence that lasts takes time. Focus on who you are becoming, not just what you are saying. Are you becoming clearer? Are you becoming steadier? Are you becoming more intentional? These qualities accumulate. Over time, people will notice. They will trust your judgment. They will value your input. They will listen when you speak, not because you demanded it, because you earned it. Influence practiced daily becomes part of your identity. It shows in your posture, in your tone, in your timing. It shows in what you say, and what you choose not to say. This is the highest level of communication. Not dominance, not persuasion alone, but presence. Presence is felt, and what is felt is remembered. As you close this book, remember this. You do not need permission to practice influence. You do not need a title. You do not need an audience. You only need awareness and intention. Every conversation is a chance to practice. Every interaction is a training ground. Choose clarity. Choose calm. Choose purpose. Let influence grow naturally through who you are each day. Because influence is not something you turn on when needed. It is something you become through practice. And when influence becomes part of you, your words carry weight, your presence carries trust, and your impact extends far beyond the moment. That is the power of daily practice. And that is how influence becomes lasting.